You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again. Today we have another returning guest. We have Reverend Dean Nelson. He's the VP of Government Relations. He is with Human Coalition. You can go to their website. It's hucoaction.org. Again, that's hucoaction.org. He is back here to give us a little bit of update of what's been going on. And of course, it's Black History Month. So welcome to the show. How you doing, sir?
Hey, bro, I'm doing well. Happy Black History Month to you. And it's always great to be back on your program.
So y'all have been very busy. A lot of things are going on. I mean, we had Chelsea the other day talking about the appeal and how Texas is kind of stepping up with the lawsuit, and that can kind of ruffle some feathers there. But for you, kind of give us an update what's going on in your world.
Yeah, man. So this month, we try to use Black History Month for myself and also my colleague, Benjamin Watson, who also serves with Human Coalition, to really highlight a couple of things. One, Black history heroes, people that were fighting the good fight in the past on the sanctity of human life, but also drawing attention to the disproportionate impact that abortion has had on the African American community and continues to have. So I'm happy to be here to highlight some of those things for you today.
And speaking of the Black community and how this is a section that has been affected greatly with abortion and with that topic. For what you've been able to discover, what's some of the alarming things that you're seeing as far as stats and as just far as how abortion is affecting the Black community?
Yeah, man. So just so that your listeners know, there's almost 1 million abortions that take place in America every year. Depending upon the year, sometimes, between 900,000 and 1 million abortions every year, roughly. And of that, roughly about 35% of those are performed on African-American women. So even though they make up only 12% of the United States female population, we still participate in a disproportionately high number of abortions. In some cities like New York City, there are actually more Black abortions than live births, to give you an idea. And that's the city where Margaret Sanger originally started her first clinic during that time period in the early 1900s in the Brownville section of New York City. At that time, abortion was illegal, but she still advocated for population control. And you may be aware that in 1939, she wrote a letter to Clarence Gamble stating that we don't want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. And so we've been trying to educate all Americans, but particularly those of us in the Black community, about the nefarious start of Planned Parenthood and the really demonic type of strategy that she employed. Today, almost 80% of Planned Parenthood's surgical abortion facilities are found in Black and Latino neighborhoods.
And CDC report has revealed that almost 1,000 per day Black babies have been aborted. And that's in the 2020 stats right there.
Yeah, and that would be about right. If we think that roughly 1 million abortions, and then there's, roughly 35%, and there's 1,000 a day, that would be, almost 365,000 if we were just doing the numbers real rough. So yeah, that's the atrocity that we live in. But in Black History Month, though, we try to highlight, though, that there have been great leaders that have always stood for the sanctity of human life. People don't know one of the first women to graduate from Harvard Medical School was a pro-life advocate, and we today love to talk about Mildred Jefferson, who was a leading pro-life figure, who was a Black American woman. Some people don't remember that Fannie Lou Hamer, the great civil rights advocate from the South, was very staunchly anti-abortion. And so we have, throughout our history, had many Black Americans who have stood for righteousness and justice. And it's important for us to highlight those type of leaders even today.
And for our listeners, what is a good step to start having these discussions? As far as, I think we all can become leaders in our own community. What's some of the maybe general steps that we can take to take charge to have more open discussion? Because I feel like this is a very important topic that cannot be ignored.
Man, I think that for people to, number one, understand what abortion truly is. Abortion is the taking of an innocent life. It is the intentional killing of a preborn human being. That's what abortion is. And I think that when we talk about it in light of justice for preborn children, who's standing up for these children, particularly in the Black community? That's one of the things that we try to advocate at Human Coalition, because we serve women across the country. We have gathered data that demonstrates that 76% of women who are seeking abortion say that they would choose to parent if their circumstances were different. And so I think it's important for us to have these discussions to let people know, hey, look, we care for women and for children. We have committed ourselves to going into these communities and helping these women with the resources that they need so that they don't have to get an abortion. Again, 76% of women who are seeking abortion say, if I had somebody to help me to change my circumstances, I would choose to parent. And I think that those are some important things that people should remember when having these discussions.
And lastly, everyone knows Dr. King, Martin Luther King. We know that Alveda King, his niece, she talked about her uncle recently and basically about his legacy, and thank God that King had a dream. But when we think about today's world and what is going on with Black babies being aborted, if we just take time to think about that, what do you think Dr. King would want us to do as far as having these important discussions to get more educated on the problem? Because I feel like it's just a lot of emotions being thrown, back and forth to each other. But what do you think he would want us to do as a people to come together and really talk about this?
One of his famous quotes is that the Negro cannot win as long as he's willing to sacrifice the future of his posterity on the altar of convenience. And I believe that we would hear from him a strong challenge. We as a people have been through slavery. We've been through Jim Crow. We've been through the civil rights struggle, and never was the effort to help get rid of our children. It was always a dream for the future of our children to have a better life than we had. And so I think that it's a strong challenge to us to look inwardly and to ask ourselves, what would Dr. King, what would Jesus Christ, what would the Lord say to us about our future? And I don't think that that his words would be to eliminate our children. I think his would be commit ourselves to be blessings, to have more children, and to be there to protect our children and to raise our children for a better future. Those are the things I think that he would encourage us with today.
Once again, talking to Reverend Dean Nelson, VP of Government Relations, and he's part of Human Coalition. You can go to their website directly. It's hucoaction.org. That's hucoaction.org. One thing I would say, and I'll just safely say this, abortion affects all of us. And until we start to really have these needed conversations, I think emotion is just going to be a waste of time. So I wanted to say thank you for just helping educate our audience and keep up the great work with Human Coalition.
Amen. God bless you. Thank you so much for all you guys do.